Welcome back to Real Estate vs. Technology. I'm your host, Norman Kinsey. Mr. Dan Gandy is at the Real Broker Conference, so he is not with us today for today's episode as he's speaking on stage, as he's absolutely crushing it with his real estate brokerage and team up in the Eugene Springfield area. So big thanks to Liftoff Agent for sponsoring Real Estate vs. Technology. Today, we're going to be actually meeting with someone up in Rockland County in the surrounding area. She's absolutely crushing it with EXP, and let's go ahead and bring her on. How's it going, Shannon? Welcome to the show today.
Hi, nice to meet everybody. Nice to be here.
Of course, Sharon. So it's great to have you on the show. Before we got on air, we were talking a little bit about. Oh no, we lost her. So she should come back here in a second. She might have clicked something on her phone that made her get out. But anyways, so we want to go ahead and talk to her today about, and the reason why we want to have her on the show is because we want to talk to her about her consistent deal flow during these market times, as we have the low interest rates at high interest, low inventory, high interest rates. And so she's back here now. So let's bring her back in. All right, there you are. Technical difficulties. Welcome back. It's always fun on the phone sometimes, because if you get a call that comes in or something happens, it'll take you right out.
Right. Okay.
I love it. So before we kind of get into a little bit of brass tacks, giving our viewers and listeners, things to think about to help them grow their business in different times, let's talk a little bit about you and your business and how long you got in the business, so we can get a little bit of your backstory. So first and foremost, why real estate? How long you been in for now?
So that's a good question. Honestly, I wasn't always in real estate. I originally had a regular corporate job. I was a computer programmer. I took a course many years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. I took a course many years ago on computers, and like a crash course, like a 6-month course. And I started working at a corporate firm, Prudential Securities. I did that for many years. And then Wachovia bought Prudential Securities, and we all got laid off. So here I was. This was, I think, in 2004.
I love it. She's so busy. She has calls coming in, and she's on her phone, so it's awesome. This is why we're having Sharon on the phone on the podcast, because she is so busy with her business, and she'll be back here in a second. So we will go ahead and have her return back here in a second. And here she is. All right, so let's remove this.
Sorry. Okay, I know. Every time I get a call, it like knocks everything out.
I know, right?
Anyways,
you're busy. I was just talking about that.
Yeah. Anyway, so I got laid off, and then at the time I had 2 little kids. They were like 6 months old and a year and a half. So I had a good setup when I worked in Manhattan, whereas I only went in 3 days a week, and I worked 2 days from home. This was before telecommuting was even a thing. I was lucky. So I couldn't get that set up again. So I went into real estate really thinking that, like, okay, I'm local. I'm not going to travel to Manhattan. I'm going to stay local. And I thought really when going into real estate that it would be like kind of like an easy job, like I'll just show some houses, make up my own hours, and did not realize what I was getting into. And I think I'll do it meanwhile, and then I'll see when my kids get older, I'll go back to the corporate world, go travel back into Manhattan. And what happened was I realized it was really taking over my whole entire life. And I started hiring assistants to have leverage. I mean, the corporate experience really gave me a lot of good background on how to run a business, because I saw how it's important to delegate. I saw how in the corporate world you have thousands of employees working for a company, but they don't you don't have thousands of people reporting to one person. I saw how the whole hierarchy is set up, where you have every manager maybe has 2-3 people reporting to them, and it's like a family tree type of thing. So seeing that as soon as I needed leverage and I saw like I can't handle everything I have to handle, I'm like, okay, I'm going to delegate whatever I can. Anything clerical, any paperwork. And as I got busier, I started delegating buyers a lot of times. Like I find if a buyer would call me up and say, I want to see 5 houses in one day, I didn't have time. So I started hiring buyer agents. So I started growing my team. And that gave me leverage. Now, you have to know in this business that sometimes you have to take 10 steps backwards before you can take 25 steps forward. Yes, it costs money to hire an assistant, but that's the only way I could really grow my business. And obviously, when you hire a buyer's agent, you're splitting your commission, but there's no other way I could do it. So definitely there was a growing pains in that, where I was, not really making that much, but I was growing my business. At a certain point, you plateau and then you kind of go continue from there. But that's really how I grew my business, by leveraging, by hiring people that could help me do the things that I was able to delegate. And then you become, aside from being a real estate agent, you also become a manager of the people that are reporting to, that are working for me.
Yeah.
Because
I
that
love
helps
that.
me grow my business if I could train them and I could teach them, so that they're benefiting because they're getting the training and they're making more money working for me than they would work on their own.
Yeah.
And I'm benefiting out of it because they're trained and they could do more as time goes on.
I love that. I love that. That's awesome. And out of so many episodes, we're over like 300 episodes now, Real Estate First Technology. The one thing I have to say, the narrative is the same. Anyone that comes from a corporate background into this industry all have a huge leg up against anyone else. And, whoever's listening and viewing right now, definitely take note on that, because at the end of the day, you already understand SOPs and KPIs and income producing activities, and that hierarchy, like you said, the family tree, which is huge. So let's talk a little bit about. So someone wants to start delegating. Walk us through, for someone who is now like, okay, I'm interested now, I'm super curious, how would I scale?
The first thing, right. So obviously you're not going to hire, 10 people at the same time. It's kind of like one at a time. But the first thing really you're going to hire is like an admin, someone that could enter your listings, someone that could load up the pictures, paperwork, certain calls that come in that you don't have time for, certain follow-up calls that have to be done. You have a listing and like 10 people showed it and you want feedback. You're going to have your assistant call all the agents to get the feedback. Now, obviously you may follow up with a call to some of the agents, depending what the feedback is, but the initial calls are, being made by them. Scheduling inspections, a lot of the clerical work, you're just going to start delegating. Now, it could be when you hire an assistant, maybe hire somebody part-time in the beginning. A lot of people only want to work part-time anyway. So this way you're not spending so much money, and you may not be able to fill their schedule a whole time. So for the beginning, hire someone part-time. That's going to give you more time to grow your business. I also have my assistants do a lot of the prospecting for me, the cold calling, things like that, or follow-up. If I call somebody and they say, I may be ready to sell my house soon, but I'm not ready yet, I say, we call you, let's say in 6 months. Now that's where the technology kicks in, where I use KV Core and we have reminder notes there. That's very crucial. So I put all the reminder notes are in the system. So my assistants, that's their Bible. They come into work every day and they see, okay, what do I have to do today? And that's where the follow-up comes in. They see who they have to touch base with. Whenever they speak to somebody, the person will say, okay, call me in 2 months, call me in 6 months. Is it okay if I call, when can I call you again? And that gets put into the system. So that's kind of what they're going to go by. So after you hire that admin, which will alleviate a lot of pressure. Then the next thing is, if you don't have time to take out your buyers, you're going to hire a buyer's agent, and that doesn't cost any money really. It just costs you when they do a deal, you have to, give them a cut, obviously. So that's the next step, is you hire a buyer's agent. And you also, I try and teach my buyer's agents, don't just sit there and rely on me. Like, I try and teach them how to prospect themselves and call the sphere of influence and generate their own business as well, because otherwise they'll be frustrated. They'll feel like, they have to understand that giving somebody leads is not like a faucet. I don't just have like a suitcase of leads, So I do pay Zillow and things like that. And obviously a listing is a lead generator. So as I get listings, buyers are going to call, I'll have, buyers to divvy out. But I do teach them also how to get their own business as well.
I love that. I love that. That's huge. That's big. And so what would you say has changed? Has anything changed for you now with these high interest rates, low inventory? Has anything shifted? Have you seen less volume or different approaches, or needing to do extra marketing just to try to get your name out there and potentially keep that volume where your transaction volume normally is?
Right. So there's always competition in this business. You always have to do a lot of marketing, no matter what the market's like, high, low, easy, not easy, whatever it is, there's always competition. So always have to market. The low inventory really is keeping prices pretty strong and pretty stable, I would say, even though the interest rates went up so much. And people, it's also a matter of educating the buyer and the seller. Like if certain houses dipped a little bit in value, they have to understand, okay, now this is what the value is right now. We're living in a now world. So if you have to sell or you have to buy, you're going to deal with what I'm going to educate them. This is what you can get. This is what you can afford. This is what you're going to be able to sell for. People ask me a lot of times, what do you think the future holds? Now, I'm always going to say I don't know the future, and no one knows the future. I'm not going to claim to know the future. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't know the future. So I always tell them, do what makes you happy. If it makes you happy to sell your house now, don't worry that, oh, maybe in 5 years now it'll be worth more money. I mean, chances are over a long period of time, it will be worth more money, but you're living in a now world. If it makes you happy to retire and move to North Carolina, or you want to be close to your kids, you want to have a bigger house or a smaller house, whatever you want to do, you want to downsize, do what makes you happy. And I'm here to tell you realistically what you can get, for your money, and what you can get for your house, like that. So the inventory is low. That's true. So it doesn't make it difficult in that respect. I mean, the fact that that's why people come on my team, because the fact that I sell a lot and I worked up my name helps me sell more, because you come to a listing appointment, you're competing with agents. Now I have a lot of experience.
Yep.
I have a lot of experience. So it helps me, obviously the more business you do, the more it helps you do, because people want to hire someone that has experience, and they want to see what you did. And a lot of times I'll get a listing, and then someone around the corner will call me and say, oh, I see you sold my neighbor's house. I want to meet you, like that. So, the more business you do, the more it helps you. So if people join a team and they don't have experience, it helps them, because it puts their name on the map.
Yeah.
Like, no one knows who they are, but if they know they work for Sharon Kushner, oh, you work for Sharon Kushner, I know who she is. And now they have a better chance of getting, a listing or whatever it is. I always go with them to the listing appointment if they get an appointment. So it helps them secure it. Better to get a % of something than to get nothing. So that's really why it pays to join a team if you don't have that much experience.
I love that. I think that's so amazing. And the biggest thing is that, like you said, be happy. At the end of the day, I think so many individuals that are out there are like talking about whatever, whether it's the media or the interest rates or the low inventory, who cares? It's like you said, if you're happy where you're at, stay where you're at. And if you're not happy and you want to go somewhere else, then go somewhere else, whatever. I mean, obviously if you're underwater, you can't really do you can't really do much with selling your house and potentially getting another one, or whatever the case may be, or your payment might go up, but it is what it is. So I love that.
Right.
And it also makes a lot of sense too. Like you said, notoriety, people know who you are, and you're an expert, which is an authority in your specific market, which now you're at a place where people are automatically, they know, like, and trust you. And they're like, yeah, she's it. If you want to work with anyone, she's it. She knows who she's talking about. She's getting it done. End of story, which makes a lot of sense for sure. So kind of going into now a little bit of like marketing and that process. So it was interesting. We saw that you're doing some things on YouTube, and we know various different individuals close to you. We have Charlotte, North Carolina, Mr. Andy G. He's coached by Ryan Serhant and does a lot with basically YouTube videos. And we're starting to see this more and more, where individuals are utilizing YouTube videos to do kind of what you're doing, whether it's showcase a business owner or maybe the community, maybe video walkthrough tours, testimonials. So what came up for the idea for you to do a YouTube channel surrounded around business owners? I was watching some of your videos before we went online here.
Yeah, I mean, people are talking about it. They're like, that's the way of the future. They want to see you. They want to hear you. And the social media, at first, when years ago, when I heard about social media, I'm like, this is crazy. Who has time for social media? It's so stupid, But the reality is, if you got to compete. You got to do what your competition's doing. So people are on Facebook. I have somebody running my Facebook. I have running Instagram. So I'm not actually putting the ads out there. Someone else is, managing it for me. But they'll encourage me, like, make a video of yourself, get out there, people who offer me out to be on a podcast or whatever, and share your knowledge. And I'm like, fine, I'll do it. So that's kind of, it's just more exposure. It's really, I'm helping other people too. Sorry.
Exactly. What 100%. And
that's, I feel like when I give advice, I'm helping other people. So I feel it's a good thing in that respect, besides getting my name out there,
I love that. And that's the biggest thing too, I feel like, is that after you get to a certain point of success, it's like people forget what you said and did, but they don't forget the way you made them feel and what's part of your legacy. Like the impact that you made on the families that you served and the information you put out there to be able to give and to be able to give more information to people to be able to use. And so Real Estate First Technology, we like to have, of course, superstars like Go Becky or Team Fast and Kenny Fast or Ricky Caruth. And we had the vice president, Sharon on. And so we've had some really big names, but at the end of the day, it's also to meet with individuals like yourself, like, that maybe you don't have the notoriety online as far as across the country, but in your market and what you're doing, you're having massive success. Looks like we just, if you're watching on YouTube, looks like she just clicked something on her phone. So we're gonna have to make sure it's a standard operating procedure. Speaking of standard operating procedures, for individuals to join us specifically on their computers. So that way we can make sure. Here she is backstage. There you are. That's how busy you are. I got to say, holy cow. I was just saying when you got kicked out there, I was like, you know what? We're going to make sure they know, join on your computer. Cause sometimes like you could tell you're trying to
I
keep
should do that next time.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then
I'll do
you're
the
like,
computer next time.
text
Exactly.
message and this and that and all the things. But no, I was just finishing my thought when you got kicked out there saying that, we have a lot of big people, but at the end of the day, it's nice to have someone like yourself that's refreshing, that people maybe don't really know, that can see what you're doing in your track record and seeing that you're having a lot of success with what you're doing. And it looks like you're currently with EXP Realty. So what made you decide to go into that direction with EXP?
So I was coaching with this guy, Haas Pratt, for a little while, and he recommended EXP. I was at Keller
Okay.
Williams before, and EXP really he told me about it. I researched it. It had everything to offer that other companies had, as far as the technology, the training, everything that I needed, and the splits were better. So I joined in 2018. I'm very happy.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, we're starting to see EXP and a lot of Keller Williams agents going in that direction, and you got Real Broker that's coming up on the rear as well. And it's amazing how a lot of these agents now are producing. Then they hit icon as far as like within your organization, and then it's like,
Right.
okay, now it's time to teach and to recruit,
Right.
and then
To give
you have
over.
people. You have people like Mike Sherrard, who's on the show. He's a good friend of mine. He's doing really well over 100,000 a month just off his downline. And
Nice.
he doesn't even produce real estate or any transactions at all. So it's pretty amazing how that can come to be. So from your corporate background to now having the success that you've had, and you've delegated the activities to grow your team, what does the future look like? Are you going to ever retire out of this industry, or are you going to grow a downline and educate other agents? Like, what does the future hold for you in your business?
So, I always say that people that work are always going to stay young. Like I don't think retiring is a
Amen.
good thing, because I see people that retire. As soon as they retire, they look older. They can't think straight. They lose their mind, whatever. So I feel like keeping busy is healthy. Keeping active
Yes.
is busy. So I don't see myself retiring. It's also not my personality to retire, unless I, God forbid, I need to. But
Yeah.
I always want to keep busy, and I'm always happy to teach and delegate, teach my team, teach other agents. So I hope to keep it going. And then I don't have like a goal in mind. Like I don't like do that type of thing where I say, oh, I want to do
Yeah.
X amount of transactions next year. I'm kind of like chilled about it. I'm like, you know what, whatever God sends me. So I kind of just do the best I can. I think strategically how to leverage my business and how to grow more. But I don't stress myself out over it with numbers. But the reality is that, I mean, every year is different. Like last year was an amazing year. There was so much going on with COVID, post-COVID, with all these sales. This year is not as much as last year, but that's fine. Like it's still a good year. So I don't stress out over numbers, but I focus. I'm very motivated. That's my personality, and I focus on what I need to do to do the
Love
best I
it.
can, and the rest really is not in my hands.
I love it. I love it. So then give us some feedback then. So you said you don't really like, I guess you could say whatever cliche term, manifest, whatever you want to call it. But like, so when you say you don't think about numbers, whatever, God has as far as plans, last year was
Right.
amazing, maybe not as much. So do you forecast? Like, do you actually forecast a year, or
Okay.
think to yourself,
So right.
one?
So I don't forecast. A lot of people need to put things down in order to motivate themselves, and this is what a lot of coaches will teach you. They'll say, okay, if you want to sell, let's say 10 houses in the next month, what do you need to
Yeah.
do? And they say,
Mm,
well, I would need to speak to people and prospect. Okay, how many phone calls do you need to make? Let's say, because it's a numbers game.
right.
How many calls do you need to make, or how many door knocks, or how many whatever, in order to get one appointment? And then do like the statistic kind of calculation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then that's how that's how they motivate themselves. Okay, if I want to sell to a house, it boils down to, they kind of micromanaging, what they're doing, and they're saying, okay, every day I wake up in the morning, I have to follow this script of doing X amount of calls and this and that in order to produce what I want. I'm
Yeah.
very motivated. My personality is motivated, so I don't need that. I also train my staff to do a lot of the cold calling and the prospecting and all these things. So I have, I have an office manager. Like I don't
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
have an admin. At this point, I have an office manager, and I have other assistants that report to her. So she's really managing that for me, and she'll remind me about what we have to do and things like that. Or the same time when I'm monitoring what's going on, like it kind of works two ways.
Yeah.
So I don't really. If you're motivated, you don't. If you know what to do and you're motivated, you don't need those charts. But if
Yeah.
you feel you need the charge to motivate you, like you're not going to make those calls. You're not going to have someone working for you making those calls. And absolutely, you have to, have it on paper so you could check off what you did. But I don't really need that. I have things kind of automated. Like
Yeah.
the people that work for me know what they have to do, and everything's rolling. So I don't need those checklists.
That's awesome. That's amazing. No, it's amazing. And it's a testament to your success as far as there is no right or wrong. There is no specific way to do something. And what works for Sharon is going to work for you and maybe not for me or whoever's watching.
Exactly. And I have to also say that some people are so successful. Like, say, you told me this guy that makes $100,000 a month or whatever. That's great. You don't have to feel like if I can't be as successful as that person, that I'm no good. Like everybody has to do the best they could do and do what they're comfortable doing in their comfort zone. And everybody's talents are different. Listen, there are people out there in the world that are making $5 million a year. Good for them. Like
Yeah.
not everybody has that ability, and that's okay. That's okay. You do what you're good at, and you be happy with with your lot in life.
I love that. I love that. That's so true. And if you want 5 million a year, then hey, work your tail off, make it happen. Not all the people that make 5 million a year, have a happy family or,
True.
to their children and take time off and the whole nine. And that's where it's like, I like some people say it's impossible to have balance, but I like to have that opportunity. Like life by design is what I personally say. So, want to take a vacation. I'm off to Korea and the Philippines for the month of November with my wife, my 4-year-old daughter. That's where I'm going,
Nice.
so
Beautiful. Yeah, you have to set time for family. That's what we live for. We don't just live to work. You live for your family. And you have to work for a living, but you have to make sure you combine it and leverage it properly.
I love that. I love that. That's super cool. No, that's awesome. So I really highly recommend anyone who's listening or viewing right now, like check out everything she has going on. Sharon's her links are down below. Go to her Instagram, go to her social media, her YouTube channel.
Thank you.
Seems like she just kicked
I also
off.
want to say one more thing, before we end.
Of
I want to
course.
say, like, you have to always know, like, at the end of someone's life, what you accomplish, yes, your job and all the houses you sold, that's important. But what you really accomplished in your life is giving to other people, bringing up your family, giving to your family, bringing up your kids. Kids don't stay young forever. People think they have a baby and they think, oh, that I have a baby. Yeah, your baby's gonna be a baby for like maybe up to 5 years. Then they're gonna be older. Then before you know it, they'll be 20s and they're gonna move on. So like the years don't come back. Like you have to really, stop and smell the roses. You really have to enjoy your family because that's really what you're living for. Like the work is just a side thing. But you're bringing up your children, your family. That's crucial. And just be careful with your job. Don't let it take over to the point where you're ignoring your kids. Like when they need you, like be there. Look at them in the eyes when they talk to you. Be there for them. Go on vacations with them. Spend quality time with them because those years won't come back. And like when your kids get older, if you didn't give them that time, then you lost it because it's hard to develop a relationship with a child when they're 30 years old if you never had one when they were younger.
Yes.
So that's priority.
Yes. No, I love that. And you're kind of speaking to me there a little bit because at the end of the day, that's something that comes up for me. It's like never had the figures in my life. And now being the figure is definitely something that I have to work extra hard to make sure that I'm doing. And that's as simple as using your imagination and playing with Bear and and playing school or dollhouse or Barbies or whatever.
Exactly.
And
whatever they want.
yeah, it's definitely a process for sure. And so that's definitely something I'm working on personally. But that's so true. It's so true because at the end of the day, you can have all the money in the world, but you don't want to be a Scrooge at the end of the day because you never bonded or connected or had deeper, meaningful relationships. And then it's just like, okay,
exactly. There's a cute story someone told me that this kid had a very busy father who made tons of money, very wealthy guy. And the kid went over to the father and said, "What do you charge per hour?" And the father's like, "I don't know. Like, why are you even asking me that question?" So he's like, I need to know what you charge per hour. So the father like threw out some number. And then the kid came back to him like a week later. He kind of collected some money and he said, "Here's like $100. Can you give me an hour of your time?" So like, how sad is that the kid needed to like pay his father because he wants to? That's all he wanted, an hour of his time. Like give me some of your time. So I think there's a lot to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because time for like your loved one should be invaluable, and that's why I feel like sometimes the money is what it is, and we have bills to pay and things to do, and I get it. But at the end of the day, it can't be like the end all be all. Cause last thing you want to do is pay your father $100 for freaking an hour of his time. That's sad, but I appreciate you sharing that. No, this has been a lot of fun. And as we do get closer to the end, we like to leave something for our viewers and listeners, something that they could take and something that's attainable. And I hope that, going through this process, whoever's listening and viewing and watching right now, you could take something from delegation, right? Delegating the process, setting up standard operating procedures or KPIs to have more success with that process. And so in closing, Sharon, what would you like to share with our viewers and listeners, and maybe something they could take from today's episode and they can apply to their business today after we close out here?
Right. So I think besides what I said, the only extra thing I could really add is everything happens in baby steps. Nothing happens overnight. Don't get overwhelmed. Take one step at a time. Like years ago, I was in school once, and my teacher was telling me, like just an example, you walk into a kitchen and it's like messy, and you feel like just going to sleep or walking out. But she said, you know what, you got to tackle things one thing at a time. So you look at that messy kitchen and you say, okay, first I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, and then before you know it, everything falls into place. So it's the same thing with running a business. When it's overwhelming, just take baby steps. One thing at a time, and be patient with yourself. And Rome wasn't built in a day, but you just try and improve a little bit, all the time, and you work towards a goal, and eventually, you're just getting better and better.
That's huge. That's so true, because so many people do get so caught up in, oh my God, and my wife does it, and she's just like this and that and all the things. I said, honey, slow down. Okay, what's the first thing you got to do? Because you're overwhelming yourself because you're thinking about all the things. There's someone right now who's listening or viewing this and is being like, that's me. Like, I just give myself so much anxiety because I think about all the things. And like, that's with business too. Cause I'm sure with, the listings and the clients and then this and the appointments and then the team, and then someone's call out sick and then whatever. Right. And so, you get caught up on little things. Like, is the social getting posted? Are the calls being made? Oh, what happened with that phone call of someone who said they wanted to sell in 6 months? And we ever make that call? And it's like, it could be overwhelming, but I like to let the universe, or the Lord and whatever you believe, just kind of let it just kind of fall.
Yeah, I mean, you take notes. You got to take notes. You're organized, but it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to have an unsuccessful day. It's okay to forget something. It's okay to make a mistake. That's life. We pick up and brush ourselves up and move on.
Yeah, 100%. It's one of those. It's those lower lows that give the higher highs. Those magical moments.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
Whatever. Yeah, right. And it's just like, and it's crazy too, because each day you might be doing the same thing, and then you're like, holy cow, like today was way different, way off. This is not like my normal. Right now.
Right. But I always say, take the energy that you'd want to use to be upset and angry at yourself, and take that energy and turn it into something positive, and go be successful the next day. Just use it use the energy in a positive way.
I love that. 100%. Well, this has been a pleasure, and I wish Dan was here to enjoy our energy and our vibe here today. And that's what we do on the podcast. We vibe out, have a good time, and just share and give back to the community. Thanks to our sponsor, Agent, that pays for the technology and the team that we have, that scouts all the people that we have on the show. So, Sharon, thanks so much for being on today's episode of Real Estate First Technology. I appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks so much. Nice meeting you.
Of course. Likewise. And to all our viewers and listeners, do us a favor. Go check her out. Go subscribe. Go see what she's up to. And if you can subscribe to our channel, new episodes on Friday at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. We appreciate you watching and listening in to today's podcast, as it is our intention for take things from our episodes to apply to your business, have more massive success. And we will see you all on the next one.